Oh, imagine this, dear viewers. Picture a woman in her prime standing in a sunlit kitchen in suburban Columbus, Ohio, the soft rustle of children's storybooks fanning through the air like whispers of hope. It's 1995, and she's humming Crazy by Patsy Cline, dreaming of a cozy evening with her husband after a day shaping young minds. But then the door bursts open, and her world crumbles in an instant. Evelyn, I'm done. I've fallen for someone else, he says, his voice like a thunderclap. Please subscribe to this channel and share my story with friends. I'd be so grateful if you could help spread this tale of heartbreak and hope. Her lesson plans scatter to the floor like dreams torn apart. That moment wasn't just a goodbye, it was the spark of a firestorm of betrayal, abuse, and unexpected redemption that would test the limits of love in the American heartland. Buckle up, folks. This is my story, raw and real, full of tears, twists, and a lesson that'll stick with you long after the screen goes dark. My name's Evelyn Carter, Mrs. C to the wide-eyed third graders I taught for over 40 years at Lincoln Elementary. Born in a sleepy Ohio town in 1947, right after the war, I grew up with that classic American optimism. Porch swings creaking under summer stars, neighborhood barbecues where the smell of grilled burgers mingled with laughter and dreams of a white picket fence shining in the morning dew. Teaching was my calling, my joy, my salvation. I'd light up that classroom like fireworks on the 4th, transforming fidgety kids into eager learners with tales of brave pioneers crossing the prairie and presidents who rose from nothing. Knowledge is your superpower, I'd tell them, handing out gold stars like treasures from a pirate's chest, watching their little faces beam with pride. Oh, those hugs at the end of the day. They melted away any worry, reminded me why I woke up at dawn to prepare bulletin boards adorned with construction paper pilgrims. And then there was Frank, my rock, my heartbeat, or so I believed with every fiber of my being. We met at a church square dance in 1968. Him in his faded flannel shirt, fresh from the jungles of Vietnam, carrying scars both seen and unseen. Those strong electrician's hands of his could fix anything, from a flickering porch light to the broken dreams of folks down on their luck. He worked for the local utility company, wiring homes across Columbus, coming home each evening with tales of quirky customers, a widow whose chandelier sparked like lightning, or a family whose fridge hummed back to life just in time for Thanksgiving turkey. His paycheck kept our modest ranch-style house humming. That little haven with its flower boxes, bloomin' petunias, and a swing set rustin' in the backyard, waiting for the kids we never had. We married under a canopy of Ohio maples in full autumn blaze, vowing forever in front of God, our families, and a congregation singing Amazing Grace. No kids came our way. The doctor shrugged after years of tests and tears, saying it just wasn't meant to be. My heart ached like an open wound each Mother's Day, seeing other women with bouquets from their little ones. But Frank would hold me tight, whispering, "You're my whole world, Evelyn." But we had each other, and that seemed enough. Lazy Sundays sprawled on the couch watching Buckeyes football, the roar of the crowd on TV mixing with our cheers and his victory dances, road trips to Cedar Point where those roller coasters made my stomach flip like a teenager's first kiss, quiet evenings on the porch swing, sipping iced tea as fireflies dance like living lanterns in the twilight. Life felt perfect, like a Hallmark card come to life. No drama, just steady love woven into the fabric of the American heartland, where hard work and faith built dreams that lasted. But paradise has its serpents, doesn't it, hiding in the tall grass, waiting to strike. The trouble slithered in slowly, like fog rolling thick over the Scioto River on a chill autumn morn. By the early 90s, Frank's job boomed with new subdivisions sprouting up like weeds after the recession finally eased its grip. He'd stay out late, claiming working overtime, but I'd catch whiffs of floral perfume clinging to his collar, something cheap and cloying, nothing like my simple lavender soap that reminded him of our early days. I'd push the doubts away, burying them deep, focusing on my classroom chaos, coaching little Jenny through her spelling bee nerves, her tiny hands shaking as she spelled Mississippi under the bright lights, organizing canned food drives for the local pantry when tough economic times left families hungry, watching parents' eyes fill with gratitude as I handed over boxes of pasta and beans. Mrs. C, you're like a superhero, the kids would say, their hugs warming my soul, melting away the unease gnawing at my heart. But one fateful autumn night, as golden leaves swirled outside like confetti from a broken promise, the dam finally broke. Frank stormed in, his toolbox clanging like a death knell against the hardwood floor. His face was stone, eyes avoiding mine. Her name's Carla, he confessed, voice flat and cold as a winter grave. She was a bubbly receptionist at one of his construction sites, 20 years younger, with bleach blonde hair bouncing like a shampoo commercial, tight jeans hugging curves I no longer had, and a laugh that apparently lit him up inside in ways I no longer did after decades of shared beds and burdens. You and me? We're stale, Evelyn. No spark left, no kids to tie us down, no fire. The word stabbed deeper than any knife twisting in my gut. No kids, our shared sorrow, the quiet ache we'd whispered about in the dark, now weaponized into an excuse to abandon me. He packed his bags that night, leaving dusty trails on the carpet, and vanished to her flashy apartment downtown with its neon signs and party lights. I stood in our echoey house, the Patsy Cline record skipping endlessly on Crazy for Lovin' You, my broken heart beaten in time with the needle's scratch. Oh, the sympathy I craved in those early days. It washed over me like a flood I couldn't escape. I wandered our home like a ghost in my own life, my fingers tracing the faded quilt I'd sewn with trembling hands for our empty nursery, tears soaking the fabric until it smelled of salt and regret. Neighbors whispered over white picket fences as I fetched the mail. Poor Evelyn, such a sweet teacher, doesn't deserve this heartbreak. Betty, my dear friend from the teacher's lounge, would drop by with hot casseroles still bubbling from her oven, wrapping me in hugs that smelled of vanilla and vanilla extract. He's a fool, honey. You've got a heart of gold that shines brighter than any young floozy's sparkle. But the cruelty didn't end with his leaving. Oh no, it ramped up like a hurricane gathering force. Frank would return unannounced, maybe after a lover's quarrel with Carla turned sour, reeking of Bud Light from the corner dive bar where VFW vets drowned their sorrows. This house is falling apart without me, he'd roar, his voice bouncing off the walls, criticizing my messy kitchen while ignoring the stacks of graded papers piling high on the dining table from late nights marking essays by lamplight. Quarrels escalated fast as lightning. He'd slap me for talking back, his wedding ring leaving angry welts that burned like fire across my cheek. Welts I'd hide under long sleeves and heavy makeup before facing my innocent students each morning. One stormy evening in '97, during a blackout from an ice storm that coated Columbus in a sheath of glaring white, he barged in demanding cash for Carla's fancy spa day. You're sitting on our savings, you selfish witch. When I refused, citing our mortgage payments that I scraped together from my teacher's salary, he backhanded me with such force it sent me sprawling across the cold linoleum. Blood trickled warm from my split lip, mixing with hot tears, as he stormed out into the howling wind. I lay there alone, the gale screaming outside like my soul's wail, wondering how the man who'd once carried me over puddles to keep my stocking feet dry had morphed into this monster of rage and regret. To paint the picture vivid for you viewers, imagine the drama unfolding like one of those gripping Lifetime movies that keep you glued to the screen. Heart-pounding visits where I'd double lock the doors with shaken hands, heart hammering in my chest. But he'd use his old key, copied years ago, his long shadow looming in the hallway like a villain stepping from the darkness. Emotional layers piled on thick as Ohio mud. One rainy afternoon, cleaning out his old workbench in the garage, I found a bundle of steamy love letters from Carla, her cursive scrawl describing romantic getaways to Niagara Falls, the roar of the waterfalls drowning out their laughter on Maid of the Mist boats, cozy nights in heart-shaped tubs, Places we'd saved pennies for in a coffee can under the bed, dreaming of honeymooning there after his Vietnam service, but never went thanks to his endless work overtime. It felt like salt ground into an open wound, visualizing them laughing carefree on Ferris wheels at the state fair while I graded endless essays alone at the kitchen table, the TV droning late night infomercials for miracle slicers and jewelry that promised happiness I couldn't buy. Sympathy swelled from unexpected corners, warming my battered heart like sunlight piercing storm clouds. At the annual PTA bake sale under the school gymnasium's fluorescent buzz, a parent pulled me aside amid the scent of fresh brownies, her eyes misty with shared pain, sharing her own divorce horror of a husband who left for a younger model. "You're stronger than you know, Mrs. C. You're the glue holding our kids together." But the hits kept coming, relentless as Midwest winters. During the 2000 Y2K scare, when the whole country panicked about computers crashing the world, Frank appeared on our doorstep, eyes wild with paranoia about the apocalypse, only to berate me for not stocking enough canned goods in the pantry. "You're going to get us killed, you useless woman." Then shoved me hard against the wall when I gently suggested couples therapy at our Methodist church. "Therapies for weaklings and city folk," he'd snarl, his whiskey breath hot and foul on my face, leaving bruises that throbbed like accusations. No kids meant no buffer, no tiny voices crying, "Daddy, stop," to shield me from the isolation. No family photographs on the mantle to remind him of what he'd destroyed. Just endless nights clutching a lumpy pillow to my chest, sobbing silent tears for the family we'd never built, the nursery quilt gathering dust in the hall closet like a forgotten dream. The cruelty peaked in waves that'd make your heart ache and break all over again. One Christmas Eve, as neighborhood carolers sang Silent Night outside our frosted windows, their lanterns glowing like stars, Frank crashed through our door, drunk from a holiday party with Carla and her flashy friends. "Merry freaking Christmas," he slurred, tossing a cheap tarnished necklace at my feet, like that gaudy trinket could erase the fresh bruises blooming on my arms. When I whispered through tears about reconciliation, begging for the man I married, he laughed cruelly, a sound like shattering glass. "Why would I want an old hag like you? Carla's got fire in her belly, curves that don't sag." He slapped me then, his palm cracking across my face hard enough to blacken my eye and swell my cheek, sending stars exploding behind my eyelids. I called in sick from school the next day, lying to Principal Harris about a bad fall on the ice, while inside I shattered like the ornaments he'd knocked from the tree. Sympathy poured in like a river from my students. They sent get well cards flooding my desk, crayon drawings of smiling suns and rainbows. One little note from Timmy reading, "We love you, Mrs. C. You're our sunshine even when it's cloudy." It broke me into 1,000 pieces, visualizing their innocent faces lighting up the classroom while I hid my pain behind sunglasses and forced smiles. Picture me volunteering at the Columbus Women's Shelter on those gray Saturdays, the air thick with the scent of instant coffee and desperation, helping young moms escape their own hells of abuse, their stories mirroring mine like cruel echoes, truncated lives, dreams deferred by fists and lies. One woman, Sarah, with two toddlers clinging to her legs, wrapped me in a hug that smelled of baby powder and fear. "You're saving us, Evelyn, with your kind words and donated clothes. But who's saving you from nights like these?" I'd drive home crying, rain streaking the windshield like tears I couldn't hold back, the wipers swishing a rhythm of sorrow. Years blurred into a haze of endurance, each day a battle I fought with quiet grit, spiced with small rebellions that kept my spirit from crumbling entirely. I took up painting classes at the community center, splashing vibrant colors on canvas like therapy for my bruised soul. Swirls of fiery sunsets over the Ohio River contrast in the gray fog of my life, each brushstroke a silent scream of "I am still here." Frank's visits grew erratic as a summer storm. He'd pursue me sporadically with wilted roses snatched from a gas station bucket, whispering sweet nothings that rang hollow, only to revert to slaps and shoves when I resisted his demands for money or fleeting affection. No kids meant our house echoed with oppressing silence, amplifying every cruel word until it rattled the windows. But fate, that unpredictable director with a twisted sense of humor, flipped the script in the sweltering heat of 2018, a scorching July day, fireworks popping like gunfire for the 4th of July celebrations, echoing through the neighborhood. Frank called, his voice cracking like thunder over a parched field. Evelyn, Carla's dead. Heart attack at the supermarket. Dropped right there in the cereal aisle, gone in a flash. She was only 52, felled by a massive coronary that hit without warning. Her high stress life of parties and arguments with Frank, perhaps the hidden culprit stealing her breath. He was shattered, a hollow shell of the man who'd left me, but karma circled back swift as a hawk. Months earlier, doctors at Ohio State had found his prostate cancer, stage 3, aggressive and ravaging from years skipping those routine PSA tests amid his affair fueled recklessness. Chemo ravaged him like a wildfire, his thick hair gone, leaving a shiny scalp, his strong body frail as an autumn leaf fluttering in the wind. Suddenly, the pursuer became the pursued, roles reversed in a bitter twist. Frank showed up on our doorstep daily, a shadow of himself, clutching takeout bags from Bob Evans, his eyes hollow with pleas. Evelyn, I was blind as a bat. Forgive me, I need you now more than air. Sympathy tugged at my heart like an old anchor rising from the depths. Visualize him sitting on our porch steps, chemo bag dripping steadily beside him, eyes pleading like a lost puppy caught in the rain. No kids meant no family to share this burden, no daughters to hold my hand or sons to glare at him, but I stepped up with the same grace I'd shown my students, driving him to treatments at Ohio State Cancer Center through snaking rush hour traffic, holding his bucket steady during nauseous spells that left him heaving like a storm tossed ship. The emotions swirled wild as a Midwest tornado, pity for his suffering, burning anger at his years of cruelty still fresh as yesterday's bruises, but flickering beneath it all, a spark of the old love that once lit our days. We'd sit on the porch swing at dusk, watching sunsets paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, him whispering apologies choked with tears. I threw away our life for nothing, Evelyn, a cheap thrill that turned to dust. I let him move back, not as lovers rekindling flame, but as companions bound by time and forgiveness, cooking his favorite pot roast slow in the crock pot, the savory aroma filling the house like memories, reading psalms aloud during his dark nights of pain, my voice steady as a lighthouse beam, his cancer remitted after grueling radiation sessions, a miracle whispered in the halls of that hospital, bringing color back to his cheeks in our little Ohio home. Now at 78, with wrinkles mapping the roads we've traveled, we share quiet joys that heal like balm, gardening plump tomatoes in the backyard, their vines twisting like second chances, cheering at Buckeyes games on TV, our voices joining the roar of the stadium crowd, holding hands on that same porch swing, fireflies dancing as witnesses to our mended peace. The moral lesson, dear viewers, in this great American tapestry where dreams can shatter like glass under a careless boot, forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the ultimate strength, forged in the fire of pain. Hold tight to your worth like a lifeline in a storm. Seek support in your communities, from church basements to women's shelters. Lean on friends who bring casseroles and kind words. And remember, even after cruelty's fiercest storm, sympathy for the broken and second chances can rebuild a life worth living, stronger than before. Thanks for listening to my heart, folks. Hit that like if it touched your soul, and may your own stories find light in the darkness.